Hey everybody, it's John Pollock here alongside John Ramdeen. We're heading into the weekend. The UFC is presenting 2,641 fights from Belfast, Northern Ireland and Sao Paulo, Brazil. We are going to focus on the main event that will be airing here on Fight Network. Saturday, 4 Eastern, you've got Gegard Mousasi taking on Uriah Hall, a rematch from last year in a fight that Gegard Mousasi was commanding in the first round and then got caught with that infamous spin kick and then a follow-up flying knee. And that was really Gegard Mousasi stumbling the only time in his last 6 fights. It was a really tough loss for Mousasi because I think that loss has kept him from being amongst those elite contenders at middleweight for consideration.
Yeah, Gegard Mousasi said this rematch is for the idiots out there that do not understand what mixed martial arts is all about. He doesn't even understand why this rematch is happening because, as you pointed out, Mousasi was completely controlling that fight. He slipped on a banana peel, and you got to give credit to Uriah Hall. He seized an opportunity, did a fancy little spinning kick, and sent Gegard Mousasi reeling to the canvas. Very few people have been able to do anything like that to Gegard Mousasi. So I understand when you look at the whole scope of mixed martial arts, if you talk to a lot of martial artists and trainers, I'm sure they would pick Gegard Mousasi as one of the most complete mixed martial artists on the planet because of his demeanor, his skill set, his experience, all of those factors. But it's a fight. You lost the fight the first time, so you have an opportunity to now kind of silence anybody that believe that you're not as good as, maybe the hardcore fans have been hyping you up to be.
And since that Uriah Hall loss, I mean, we've seen Gegard Mousasi just lighting it up at 185 pounds. The Thiago Santos fight at UFC 200, coming off that dominant win over Vitor Belfort. He's 31 years old, but that's not the number we focus on. It's the number of fights this guy has had, and it's remarkable how effective he is in perhaps the deepest division at this point. You would have to think that getting this loss off of his back to Uriah Hall, that puts him into that stratosphere at 185 pounds where he could have one more fight and then realistically challenge for that 185-pound championship.
Just be ready. If you're Gegard Mousasi, you be ready. You slay who's ever in front of you. This assignment is Uriah Hall. Go out there. If you believe that this is a mismatch, that this rematch shouldn't be happening, show us why it shouldn't be happening. You take this guy right out, and then you remain healthy. Because look what happened. Luke Rockhold was supposed to be fighting Jacare. Were we going to get a #1 contender out of that fight? Yoel Romero, yes, scheduled to fight Michael Bisping sometime in the spring. But what happens if Yoel Romero is not available? You stay ready, you have awesome performances, and Gegard Mousasi is one of those guys. I think when you look at the top 4, top 5 of middleweight outside of Michael Bisping, it is Yoel Romero, it is Jacare, it is the former champion Chris Weidman, and it is Luke Rockhold. And you have to imagine Derek Brunson, so that fight with Whitaker, very, very important, that's going down in Australia, as well as this fight with Gegard Mousasi. Everybody has to have sensational performances if they want to be considered a title challenger.
So many people are favoring Mousasi in this rematch. Are we doing a disservice to Uriah Hall?
I don't think so. I think people realize what Uriah Hall is. If you fall asleep for 1 second, he's going to spin through the air and kick your face off. That's just the way it's going to work. We've seen it before his time in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, his stint on the Ultimate Fighter, and subsequently his fights post-Tough. So you know what he's capable of. Robin pointed it out that sometimes he gets in his own way, and he seems to be mentally freaked out by things. However, you look at his last loss, it's Derek Brunson. I wouldn't be surprised if Derek Brunson is in that mix. If somebody gets hurt and they can't fight Michael Bisping, would you be surprised if it was Derek Brunson fighting for the championship of the world?
Uriah Hall, I mean, I'm not going to categorize his entire mindset based on one interview, but he spoke to MMA Junkie, and this guy was so miserable. He said to the point, I would do no interviews if I could. I just don't want to get fined. I mean, this is someone that I feel you have to look at what you really want to get out of this industry and truly maximize it. If you just want to fight and this is your passion and you don't want to go and embrace any of that part of the job because it is part of the job, that's fine. But I think you really limit yourself when you're just going to simply cut off that whole side of things. And selling yourself, marketing yourself, that's a big part of this industry, John. And we've seen that with Gegard Mousasi, who's really embraced that, and I think that does help you.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why is because of Gegard Mousasi's journey. He has grown up in the fire, and because of that, winning and losing is a part of the game. You lose, you win. That's the way it works. It doesn't seem that Uriah Hall has kind of got his head wrapped around that you're not defined by your losses, just like you're not defined by your wins. You go out there, be as free as humanly possible. If the outcome is that you have your arm raised at the end of the night, that's great. He just has to really understand that. And I think once he does really grasp that, we'll see a different Uriah Hall.
It's the middleweight rematch happening Saturday, 4 Eastern here on Fight Network if you are in Canada.